In this video, you will understand how to create or generate Fibonacci series using C language. Before starting with the C program, let us see what Fibonacci series is. Generally, in nature, when we look at few spiral flowers, you will have a spiral pattern that is embedded in the flower. Like, for example, when you take sunflower, when you look at the flower, you have spiral pattern. That pattern resembles your Fibonacci series. Similarly, when we consider the cell multiplication, which is exponentially multiplied the growth of cells, that is also an example of Fibonacci series. So let us see how Fibonacci series looks like. The default value of the Fibonacci series starts with 0 and 1. So initially, whatever number of elements you are going to generate, the initial two values will always be 0 and 1. And then the series grows as pi. So now the third value of the series depends on the previous two values, the first and the second. So sum of the first and the second value is the third value. Now, in order to find the fourth position, the value of the fourth position, we have to add the Fibonacci series value in the second position and the third position. This is how we will be calculating the Fibonacci series. So, here imagine we need two variables for storing 0 and 1, and then you should have another variable which is nothing but the sum of the first two variables. So you will be having a maximum of 3 variables which will be changing for each iteration of the loop. This is a continuous process, right? We are generating the value based on the previous two values. This process is generated n number of times. Hence, we will be using looping constructs here. Let us see a small animation of how Fibonacci series is built up. So number 1 and number 2 will be giving the next number. Yes, this is how the Fibonacci series is calculated. So initially you should need two values in order to generate the third value. So this is very important for you to understand. Okay, on understanding this only you can start off with the coding. So as I've already told, you need 3 variables, one for storing the first value, the second for storing the second value, and the third is sum of the two values. So as I have told, the Fibonacci series starts with the value 0. How will we achieve 0? It is only when we add -1 and +1 we get 0. So we will be defining variables, say a and b, which stores the value -1 and +1. The resultant c, which is nothing but the sum of a and b, is going to be -1 +1, which is 0. So the first number of the Fibonacci series is generated. So now let us look into the coding. I am starting with #include files, and then your main comes here. Now it's the definition part. Here I am using the variables f1, f2 and f3. f1 and f2 are having values -1 and +1 because our series starts with the value 0. So f3 is nothing but sum of f1 and f2. So we have got the value 0. How will we get the value of 1? Now the values of f1, f2 and f3 has to be changed. You are going to shift, right? In the previous picture, as I've shown here, this is shifted, right? For calculating 1 we need 0 and 1. For calculating the fourth position, we are shifting this the addition to one step. Similarly here we should shift, and that is the major operation that is to be done, because in the example we have seen that it is shifting, but here we will be replacing the values. Let us see how it happens. So to start off with, we will get the number of terms to be generated. For example, if I want first 5 terms to be printed, I will be feeding the value of 5, which will be stored in the variable n. Then we will start printing the series. So this is the series. Now, because it is a continuous process, I am going to use the for loop construct. So for loop is a construct where you have a set of instructions will be repeated n number of times. So I am giving it the for loop as I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to n. Okay. So for if I give 5 elements I want, the loop will be repeated from 1 to 5. 5 times it will be the instructions inside the loop will be executed, repeated. Okay, it's iterated. Now the first step is F3 is F1 plus F2. Now we have got the value 0 because F1 is minus 1 and F2 is 1. So F3 value is minus 1 plus 1, which is equal to 0. So now we have printed we have got the first value. We will just print it. Next we have to obtain 1, right? How will you obtain 1? Only when the previous two values are added, we will get 1. So for getting 1, the elements that should be added will be 0 plus 1. So F1 should have the value 0 and F2 should have the value 1. Hence I am interchanging the values. So F2 is already 1, now that is shifted to F1, and F3 is containing the value 0, so I am shifting to F2. This process is repeated. So when we move one step in the series, your F1 and F2 value will also be changed accordingly. So when this is repeated n number of times, you will be getting your Fibonacci series generated. So hope you would have understood the logic that lies behind creating the Fibonacci series. Let me just run the program and show you how it happens. So this is the program I've showed. As I've showed, I've typed here. Let me check how it is executing. Okay. So it is asking for the number of terms to be generated. If I give the value is 3 terms will be generated, which is nothing but 0, 1 and 1. So we have got 0, 1 and 1. Let me show some other example. Let me generate 7 elements in the series. So I'm going to give the value 7. So the first 7 elements of the Fibonacci series will be printed. This is how you have to analyze the logic and write the program. Thank you for watching.